There once was an engine who ran away, just up and went. Ran away, stacked up his tender and headed down the line. Toot toot, farewell, goodbye.
One Thursday morning, Dominic, the narrow-gauge yellow center cab diesel, was passing by Denville Station. Mr. McCormick had to speak to him. Dominic, Lewis is broken down. I need you to take the milk train for him. No problem, said Dominic. I just have to finish unloading the log cars, then I'll be right over. Nope, never mind, said Mr. McCormick. I'll find someone else to do it. Are you sure, sir? Asked Dominic. Yes, said Mr. McCormick, because I need someone that can take the milk train right now. Okay, sir, if you're sure, said Dominic, and he rumbled away. But Dominic had made a grave error. You see, Dominic had misunderstood Mr. McCormick and thought he meant he would find someone else to take the milk train, not someone else to unload the log cars. Later that morning, Dominic was shunting the empty log cars into a siding when Eddie the Shave puffed up. Mr. McCormick stepped out of his cab and went over to Dominic. Dominic, he asked, why aren't you pulling the milk train? Dominic was confused. But I thought you said you were going to find someone else to do it, he said slowly. Mr. McCormick lost patience. Dominic, I am done with you. If you're going to keep disobeying orders, I will have you sent to the shed for a whole week and then have you sent away. Now go collect the milk train now. Dominic was upset. He didn't even say yes, sir. He just rumbled away to collect his cars. Dominic normally enjoyed his run along the line, but not today. He felt really upset how Mr. McCormick had shouted at him, especially when he felt like he didn't do anything that bad before. He always followed orders. He found Drew and Vincent with a freight train in a siding. They asked Dominic why he looked so sad, and Dominic explained about Mr. McCormick. It sounds like a simple understanding to me, said Vincent. I know, said Dominic, but Mr. McCormick thinks I was being insubordinate. And he said it in a way as if I've always disobeyed him. I would never do that to a railroad manager. I always follow orders. I honestly just heard him wrong. Calm down, Dominic, said Drew. When Mr. McCormick calms down, just explain it to him. He's probably just a little aggravated right now. I'll try, sighed Dominic sadly. That night, Dominic backed into his shed. He had tried speaking to Mr. McCormick earlier, but he was still cross with him. I really might get sent away, said Dominic, worried. I don't want to get sent away. Dominic thought for a long time and looked out at the night sky. He then made his decision. He turned on his light and made his way out of the shed.
And the little old engine ran away. Just up and went, and ran away.
Didn't feel part of the railway,
So the little old engine ran away.
He soon arrived at an old junction that hadn't been used in years. It led to an old industrial complex. I'll hide down here, said Dominic. This is a good place to hide. Suddenly, from behind him, there was a loud rumbling noise, and a landslide had covered the track. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, said Dominic. I'm not going back home anyway, and he continued on. He soon found an old shed where he could rest. Oh, this is perfect, said Dominic. At least I'll be protected from the weather. The next morning, Mr. McCormick came to the sheds at Denville. Have any of you seen Dominic? He asked. The other rangers didn't know. They were confused. He's not in his shed, asked Fredrick. No, he isn't, said Mr. McCormick. He's nowhere to be found in the yard anywhere. You must all go look for him.
So we thought and we thought, where could he be, could he go?
Some search high, the other search low.
Where did he roam, where did he roam? We gotta bring a little
Mr. McCormick was riding with Dean in the works train, where they stopped at the old junction and saw the landslide. "Well, sir," said Dean, "you can't be down here." "You're right," replied Mr. McCormick. "Come on, let's keep looking down the line." They arrived back at Denville and informed the other engines that they couldn't find Dominic. "This is terrible," said Eddie. "Where could he possibly be? I mean, we're a narrow gauge railroad. He couldn't have gone far." "Excuse me, sir," said Larry. "I have a suggestion." Mr. McCormick turned. "What is it, Larry?" he asked. "Why don't you go to the heliport and rent out a helicopter? That way, you can cover more ground. And if Dominic did derail and roll down a mountain somewhere, you'll be able to see him." "That's a wonderful idea, Larry," said Nia. "Nia's right," said Mr. McCormick. "Thank you, Larry. I will go call about a helicopter at once." In no time, Mr. McCormick was flying high in the sky with the pilot looking for Dominic. They then flew over the old industrial yard. "There he is!" shouted Mr. McCormick. "But how did he get there with that landslide?" "It could have happened after he passed through," suggested Mr. Campbell, who was riding with him. The helicopter pilot dropped off Mr. McCormick and Mr. Campbell at Denville. Mr. McCormick then had Fredrick and Vincent push the steam shovel up to the old junction. The steam shovel then got to work digging away the landslide. After it was clear, they set off up the old line. Dominic was resting when all of a sudden he heard Fredrick's whistle. "Fredrick?" he said. "But how?" Fredrick and Vincent and stopped alongside with the steam shovel. Mr. McCormick then hopped out of Fredrick's cab and strolled over to Dominic, who shuddered when he saw him. "Dominic, what are you doing here?" "I ran away, sir. You threatened to send me away and shut me up in the shed. But I'm really sorry, sir. I really heard you wrong. I would never disrespect you like that, ever." Mr. McCormick sighed. "Dominic, I'm sorry I said that to you. I was real upset in general, and then when you didn't take the milk train, it just pissed me off a little further. I know you would never disrespect me like that." "So," said Dominic, "everything's okay now?" "Yes," smiled Mr. McCormick, "everything's all right now." Fredrick and Vincent cheered. "Hooray," they said. "Everything's okay once again." The three engines of the steam shovel were soon turned around, and they set off.
Now the little old engine's heading home. Toots and cheers, hear the whistles blow. 'Cause now he's proud of the railway.
"Look, everybody," called Sapphire. "Here comes Dominic."